This channel is part of the Nick Terrell network. Sit back, relax and enjoy your featured presentation.
Hi guys, hello and welcome back to another video right here on Chits. So it's been a couple of months and life has gotten away, but I am trying to get things back on track. So I have begun again, as we do, with another board game unboxing for you folks. So this one is a game that I have mulled over for a long time. Current events in the world. Those of you who've been around on my channel for a while may remember when I'd done Pandemic during the start of like the worldwide COVID pandemic, and this one has struck me exactly the same. This is This War of Mine. We've got situations going on like the Ukraine, and I think this one was actually based on the events around Sarajevo back in the 90s. So you'd always wonder morally whether you're doing the right thing, but I feel that a game like this has got to be highlighted, because when I bought it, and I've got to admit, it is like the most expensive game in my collection out of like the many board games I own. It was something different, something I just didn't have in my collection, something that was just totally off the wall. And I'll be honest, I've had this game about 3 years, and I'm going to unbox it for you guys now. It's still in cellophane. I haven't opened it for like those reasons, but I feel the time is now. So let's go for it. So this is This War of Mine. It's a board game adaptation of a video game. Let me get my specs on and I shall give you the details. Okay, a board game by Michael Orach and Jakob Wisniewski. I probably butchered them. With 11-Bit Studios and Galactica. So just look at the box alone, trying to avoid the glare. You can see it's all very dull and very dreary. I watched a couple of bits and bobs on YouTube just for a little bit of reference, and I've seen like various things that people have said like about the game, compared it to the video game from the board game. And this game, I'll be honest, it's not designed to make you feel good. They sort of turn around and say, somebody made the point, it was a really good one. They said that, he plays war games, and, you're playing Warhammer, Flames of War, any kind of, any kind of war game, tabletop war game. And you've got a straight objective. I've got an army, you've got an army, and, we're battling out over Normandy or, what, Stalingrad, whatever. This is different because you are essentially in charge of a group of survivors in a derelict building, and you're just trying to survive. And I think he nailed it perfect. He said it starts bad and it goes worse. So this is probably one of those games you're not going to want to put on if you're on, like, for want of a better term, like a downer after a bad day. But I do feel like, it's one of them that you should sort of try and experience. I'll tell you what, let me show you the back and I'll give you a little bit more of the story blurb, and then we'll go on to the actual unboxing, a couple of different thoughts and opinions I have. Okay, so there is the back of the box. So we see various different figures of our survivors, and the board there. The board, of course, depicts the house where we're at. So This War of Mine, the board game. In war, not everyone is a soldier, and I do think that is the main basis of this game. A story that must be told. The sun is about to set, and with it fades the threat of catching a sniper bullet if you're reckless or desperate enough to stick your nose out of the shelter. But the night brings no solace. Whatever little supplies we gathered are now at risk because of marauding looters and worse. Welcome to Pogoren, a besieged city where a group of citizens is trying to survive the horrors of an unending war, make hard choices, face difficult challenges, and tell an unforgettable and meaningful tale whenever you share this unique experience with your friends. There are no points of competition, just those who make it until a ceasefire. The road to survival is hard as you're trapped in the middle of a military conflict where morale and ethical principles lose all meaning. Manage your shelter, craft items necessary for existence and defence. Explore the vast city and risk your life scavenging for resources along with your friends. Is surviving war a victory? That depends on what you become. So, before we open the box, there's a couple of things as well. What I do like is, it says here, open and play. Just set up the components and start your experience without the need for reading long rule books. Yeah, there's no rule book here, guys. So what there essentially is there's like a setup guide, which we will get into. And then there's a thing called the book of scripts. So your board is the house. Your survivors have various things to do during the day, during the night. you can do various tasks around the house, but how many actions you can do depends upon their state, where they're sort of depressed or they're ill or they're wounded or that kind of thing. So we can all see straight away where it goes from bad to worse to desperate. So I suppose even if, I think read somewhere there's 10 days in a game you've got to survive. So even if you survive those 10 days, how that's going to go, you know, it is one of them. Okay, so let's get by and let's get it open with the old trusty knife. So has anybody played this one then? Or are you like me, where you've kind of bought it, had it on the shelf and kind of morally danced with it? I mean, I have recently got a PlayStation 5 a couple of months ago, and I saw bought the video game of this on a sale. I paid about £3.50 for it, something stupid like that. And I thought, you know what, I'll play it, I'll have a look, and I'll see how the video game goes. And then I'm going to play the board game depending on that. And even now, I still feel weird opening this. Yeah, you know, it's one of them things, it's got to be tried. I mean, it says between 1 and 6 players, and there is a solo mode. I think, I've been trying to ask my partner, my fiance, if she'll play it with me. And we can kind of run the house together and make those decisions. Because I think as a group, I think it'd probably be, I mean, I'm not saying it's like the happiest subject. Obviously, you know, I spent all day saying that it isn't. But I think it'd be interesting as a social experiment, and this is where I'm really coming from with this game. Okay, so straight away we get the book of scripts. So there's nearly 2,000 entries in this, in little paragraphs. I'm not even going to touch it, I'm not going to open it, so no one's going to have a chance to pause it or whatever. That's how thick it is, okay? So what happens is, like, references on there, and it'll say go to paragraph 55. You go to paragraph 55, read it, and see what's going on, okay? So that is the book of scripts. Then we have the journal, and this is the one that says during a playthrough after setup, you'll go through a full day and night cycle that is divided into 7 phases as described in the journal. You don't know all the rules to begin this experience. The icons, decks, keywords, spaces, attributes and other elements will be explained as you proceed. That is all. Let us begin. You will learn everything else during the game, and I've never had a game like this that actually does that. So I do find that really, really interesting, how I can set a board up just by a couple of instructions and play a game. Really interesting, really interesting. We have a book. It just says save sheet. So there's like, I think it's for you to mark down like where you've got everything if you need to walk away. But I think this might be a little bit of a table hogger. So I think what I'd do is I'd probably leave the table set up in the studio, obviously away from Salem, my little black cat, and kind of go back to it. That would be my impression. I don't think I'd use that save, but you know what? It's always nice to see. We've got a baggie, 2 baggies, sorry. So I'm presuming that is to stick all your components that you're up to for your save state in. What's this here? Okay, so I've got a sheet that says Endless Night, using the scenarios, C905. So 905 would obviously be in the book there. So yeah, setup changes. So I'm presuming this might actually be a different scenario. And then it says the last day. So it's like another scenario if you reach that. I'm deliberately being coy here, and I don't want to go too much into it because I don't want to know, and I'm sure you guys don't want to know either. If you're going to have to do this social experience, let's do it blinder, because if, heaven forbid, we were living in like the Ukraine, or we'd have been one of those poor souls who lived in Sarajevo through the horrible, horrible events there, they wouldn't have known either, you know. I'm trying to keep this review as upbeat as I can, guys. Honestly, I am. Okay, so we've got a sheet of tokens, various different ones with health and stuff like that. Another sheet with raw food, cold, meds, alcohol, broken assault rifles, that kind of stuff on there. These are things I presume you can scavenge. And a third sheet of them there. We have the board, which, like I said earlier, is the house. I mean, straight away, this is actually lighter than I gave it credit for. When I've seen sort of even screenshots, I've sort of thought, oh, I don't know if that board looks too dark. I mean, you know, obviously we're not in a fun fair here or whatever, but, you know, it does look quite nice. I'm going to try my best. Excuse me before I do this. Every time I do this, something either ends up on the floor or whatever, but there is your board, and within that there we can see different spaces for like ideas, fittings, characters, fate, narrative actions. These are all places like where your decks of cards are going to go. So I'm presuming you do like, you know, you shuffle these decks up, you put them all down there, and as the journal it indicates, you go through, and at that point you say, okay, well, I'm going to turn this over, or like that. Like I say, folks, I haven't even played the video game yet. You get some little counters where we plug our little figures in, our survivors into. Blue, green, yellow, orange, standard fare. We get some dice. There's a yellow and a red one with what appears to be various icons on. And we've got a 10-sided? Yeah, we've got a black 10-sided dice and another grey dice with a couple of various icons on. So what happens is actually a mode in a game where when you've gone through your day, that you can go out and scavenge to obviously find all the bits you want. And I'm presuming that this is where some of the other moral dilemmas come in. You know, do you kind of take stuff off people that might need it to help you survive? What happens to them? And then along with those little entries in the book of scripts, you know, we find out. So yeah, you know, yeah, let's just get on with it. Now we've got some pieces here. These look like stuff we can scavenge, like little cogs. So I'm presuming that they're going to be like little pieces that we need to you know, symbolise our bits to make things with. There's probably a better way of putting it, but I've just come off a 7-hour shift in work, come straight home and wanted to make this, so if I'm a little bit like, yeah, you know, excuse me. Some little glass, little counters there, and what appears to be like little wooden bits there. We've got 4 decks of cards. There's a survivor called Anton, and that's his card there with all his bits and bobs. Again, I'm not opening these cards. Like, I'm not going to open the journal or the book of scripts. Rubble remnants. Use an action to dig through. Requires a shovel or requires 2 characters. Remove this card from the game. So that's maybe one of the actions you can do there. Help the sick and wounded in our area. At any moment, you may discard any number of meds, bandages. For each discarded meds bandage, advance the objective marker by 1. You can get a reward or you can get a penalty. So these obviously go along with the cards that you get to help you, you know, work out what's going on in the game. Pack here says residents on the front. So we obviously come across other different survivors who are in the same boat as us. Some soldiers, some mercenaries, some bandits, and how you interact with them all depends. I think the idea is you've got to have at least one character left over, surviving like on like the last day to, I say, win the game. I mean, there's no winners in war, is there? But what's this? Yeah, chapter 1. Right, I'm not even going to read that out there, but I'll give you a quick little flash if anybody wants to kind of pause it and have a blip. And there's a 4th deck of cards. This says night raids on there, so it's obviously what's going to happen while you're out and about. And a card that I'm not sure what it says. It just says colour black. Shuffle the card back into the colours deck. Whatever the colours deck is, I'm sure we'll find out when we open it up. And finally, we have a pack of miniatures. So let's dig these out. So each survivor has their own card with their own sort of like what they wear. They may be the teacher or a scientist or whatever. And we have these little miniatures of them. Yeah. Not really sure how well the autofocus is going to pick up, but you know, they appear. I've done wargaming in the past, like sort of over the past 20 years and stuff. You know, they appear quite well sculpted and stuff. As I say, I don't know who all the individual characters are, or you know, whatever. But you know, they suffice to the game. You know, you've got like male and like female characters and stuff. I'm just going to give these like just a little quick flash up here for you. I apologise as well, guys, for the lights today. One of the bulbs is out in my spotlight, so I'm literally sitting under the light here. So please excuse that, but I hope that the audio more than makes up for it. Okay. Got a few more. So that's that one, so that's 5. 6. 7. 8. Crikey. 9. 10, 11, and the final one, 12. So they're all your survivors, whoever they may well be. I'm sure we will find out. So yeah, in closing, I'm looking forward to playing this, like I say, for that experience it's going to give me. Whether I can play it, I don't know the actual turn length. I mean, the game says sort of up to 3 hours. I've heard people say it can go on to 4 hours. I suppose that's probably how much you actually debate the fact of what's going on or mull over your decisions. But yeah, you know, I will play this, and I'm going to play it in the next couple of weeks. I've got a little bit of time off coming up in September next month, so I may well sort of put an evening or a morning or something aside and give it a crack. Component wise, it's all that I expected. Board is nice, surprised me, it's lighter than what I thought. I'm intrigued by the way the getting started journal book works. I'm loving the idea of the book of scripts. I mean, the replay value of this alone would be ridiculous, I'd imagine. You know, just having that many different, you can play different characters, you can play different styles of character. You might want to play, oh, well, you know, would be like really nice this time. You might want to be absolutely horrible, you know, a filthy example of a human being. To do, none of us, you don't know, I don't know what I'd do to survive if I was within the confines of that scenario, that situation in real life. So, yeah, I think I'm starting to waffle now. So, comments below. Have you played the video game? Have you played this board game? Please leave me a comment if you played it and tell me what you think of it. For the folks who are watching this and who aren't going to jump on Board Game Geek or anything like that. I apologise for the lack of content over the last few months. Life has been crazy. This channel is also part of like the Nick Terrell network, one of 4 at the minute. So life is a little bit crazy. I will get on top of it. I will. Because I do love my board gaming. Okay, guy, I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thank you so much for your time, because we've gone on now nearly 17 minutes. I shall see you again for another one soon. Take care.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button and join the Nick Terrell network today.